to explain to you that COVID has changed everything, accelerated pre-existing trends and created new ones. Some are that are the most, let's say, relevant as highlights for our discussion is e-commerce penetration has grown 10 years in 3 months, especially in sectors that were not heavily penetrated by e-commerce, such as grocery, so supermarkets and the like. There is a shift to services and service added products. This is something that we see as there is always a service software component on products that consumers buy. And most important for us as supply chain professionals is, depending on the innovations we can unlock and deliver to customers and consumers, more growth is available. Whether these are innovations that are delivered by us or our competitors. And all these trends point to what we are calling a retail revolution, the end of an era. So the traditional retail model that exists since 60 years is now disrupted for real, and we are switching from a product-centered model to a customer consumer centered model. And one thing that we know for sure in this new reality is, whether it's omni-channel or it's last mile or pure play, e-commerce is always part of the picture. And that makes supply chain super strategic. Whereas for offline grocery, logistics cost is 5 to 8% of sales. For e-commerce pure play, it's 15 to 25%. And as some of the previous speakers also said, it is now a CEO agenda item. It's not something that supply chain just has to solve. If we don't have the solutions, the whole of the business is in trouble. However, we have a big challenge, which is what I like to call the e-commerce contradiction, which is the following. Us as customers and consumers, when we buy online, we expect the lowest price compared to traditional bricks and mortar. However, since these e-com packs have to withstand the e-commerce supply chain, where they are picked, packed, have to go to a DC, then go through the last mile, wait on the ports and so on and so forth, they have to withstand 5 times the touches, around 25 touches, and as a result, they are more robust and thus more expensive. Additionally, e-commerce has the last mile component, which is notoriously expensive. According to studies, is around half the total shipping cost. And until some of the research ideas and the prototypes that we see in terms of automated vehicles or drones, there is not a way out of this cost. Consumers don't want to pay for this. So far, pure players who were focusing purely on growth and market share were willing to do it, but the last years they are looking more into profitability, especially Amazon, and this is putting a lot of pressure to us as manufacturers and vendors. To make the environment more complex, instead of going just through a retailer, there are various plays available, which we use concurrently. Still the retailer, but also our own D2C or B2B2C, participation in marketplaces, and various other services like dropship. Each one of those requires investment, both in physical logistics, but even more, I would say, in system support. So what will be the winning model, so we can design the right solution and then we can just go back to where we were before the disruption. The truth is we don't know. We know some elements of what it will be from how e-commerce works in the more mature segments. Think Amazon selling books and electronics, but in other sectors, we still don't know what the winning model will be. Think grocery, where even Amazon is not successful at all, and every retailer tries a bit different flavor in solving the problem. Think fashion, where most of the products have return rates of 50%, hurting a lot the profitability. So for us to respond to this question, we have two ways. One is, I would say, the traditional way of going through these things, at least for large organizations. Startups are different, which is we try to predict the future and plan first time right. So it's the big study that caters to all possibilities. We make the proposal for the big investment. We go through various rounds of alignments with various stakeholders that might take months, sometimes even more than a year. And then when we do the investment and hope we got it right, because before that we actually had no feedback from customers or the market. What I propose as an alternative is instead to use a methodology we used a lot at Amazon called working backwards from the customer, which is instead of sitting in our little room trying to solve the world, actually listen to our customers and consumers, try to solve their problems, because through that we will also get more feedback on that, what the eventual model will be. And instead of spending years to align on investing on a big bang, start small now, get a minimum viable product on the ground, because then you can get immediate customer feedback. And as you can imagine, that's an iterative process. Two things that are critical here. One is have two-way door decisions. So as much as possible, you want to take decisions that if they don't work out, you can take back and then iterate. And the second one is whenever you have something new, you go to the customer, the consumer, and get their feedback. And that has two benefits. First of all, you have early and often customer feedback. So whatever you build, you are sure that it is the right solution. The second one is that if you go to customers and you show that you care to solve their problem, by default, you get them into an engagement and cooperative mode rather than just talking about chargebacks and the like. In order to execute on this model, two tools are critical. One is the press release, and this is a tool used again by Amazon, which is basically when you have the idea for your service or your product, you actually create a press release of how it would look like if this were launched. That way, you can create the vision and rally the whole company behind that vision, and you can get an informed discussion or questions of how that would look like or what eventual problems would look like. FAQs address additional questions customer or stakeholders would have, and all of this is not done through a PowerPoint presentation, but through document reviews, and any new feedback you get from your various stakeholders goes into the document, so then you can iterate. If for any reason a press release is not applicable to your business, you are a B2B, for example, you can use a dear customer letter instead, and then the rest, it is the same. The second critical part is test and learn. So again, instead of discussing, doing validation of huge business cases, you have to find a scrappy way to put the concept on the ground. So I really liked the approach from Elementum, which was exactly this kind of approach, because then you can get data, you can see how it actually works, and you don't have to argue about one VP's versus the other VP's opinion on a subject where nobody knows if it works or not. And in the end, no matter the result, you still have won either a successful business case or you have gotten some learnings. So just again to iterate, on a traditional approach, we tend to spend a lot of time discussing if something is feasible, do some alignment so that everybody approves the budget, which usually is very large. On test and learn, usually you can fly, let's say, below the radar. You don't need many approvals because you don't ask for a substantial budget, and so you don't have opinions and noise. You have data very early. On the first one, you try to get all use cases right and have a perfect 100% working product. On test and learn, we go with minimum viable product just to see if the concept has traction with the customer or not. On the first, you only get customer feedback at the end, and you risk to be working for nothing. On the second, you get it early many times and they are engaged. One is optimizing for the product, the second optimizing for product customer fit. I would like to share some experiences and results we had with the approach. So one result we had is with our top pure play customer. We had a turnaround in the relationship, and here I can also share a learning we also got with them. So we were planning a new e-commerce packaging solution for them, which we believed would lower the logistics cost. And coming from Amazon, I thought before talking with the customer that the packaging we use for that is, let's say, perfect for Amazon would be perfect for that pure player as well, because all pure players are the same. When we actually spoke with the customer, we saw that their supply chain setup was very different. So the benefits we thought we were giving to them were not useful to them, and we were just adding cost. By speaking actually to the customer and iterating with them, we found what is the right services we could bring to them, and that gave us the turnaround. After teaching for a couple of hours the working backwards methodology to some of our people across functions, we had them give super valuable ideas for services on how we innovate, and this now drives our roadmap on some of our channels we serve. And we were able to take this roadmap and vision to the higher levels of the organization and get alignment across in a very structured way. And this enabled us to do test and learn pilots very quickly on the ground, whereas with our traditional way of business case approvals, etc., we would still be discussing. So just to summarize, COVID has created a new value chain, which has accelerated some trends and created new ones. This creates uncertainty and many unknowns. In order for you to be more resilient, it's better, instead of trying to predict the future, to work backwards from your customer and listen to your customer so that you are sure that you are driving the right innovation, and then you can lower your risk by doing test and learn and listening to the customer. Thank you.